What's up guys, it's Michael here. In this video, we're going to talk about why Joe Biden's new implemented tax plan for capital gains will not tank the economy. So let's get down to business. In my previous video, I explained the basics, what he was trying to do, and how it will affect investors. And this time, I'm going to look at and discuss how it's going to work and how really it will affect the economy. So you look at the previous history before, this is not the first time it's happened because America as a first world country has one of the best tax rates out there. A lot of people complain America has a lot of high tax, but you gotta also think of its competitive nature. Other places you look like, Europe, you look like, Canada. The interesting part is they don't realize that America has 50 states. I mean, it could be more, 51, whatever you want to count the other places. But yeah, 50 states, right? So and you realize within these 50 states, there's 50 options for you to choose to lower your taxes and live in a place that will be more tax friendly. But how does this affect you with Biden's new plan? Because think about it, when he implements this new plan, it has to pass through Congress. It has to pass through the Senate. It has to go through all the approval before it becomes implemented in the stage. So first it has to go through that. But if it does pass, as I mentioned before, summary recap, it increases a 20% increase in capital gains long-term tax bracket. So before, his proposal was anyone making about $400,000 or more will get this tax increase. And of course, you think about it, people making $400,000 a year, and it's not net. Keep that in mind, it's not net income, it's gross income. So meaning, like a lot of people, it's like 400 grand? Whoa, that's a lot of money. But in reality, think of it, that's actually not a lot. So if you're making $400,000 a year, because he didn't mention where it's gonna be, filing a single parent or like a couple. And there's a bunch of other options too, because of a single parent making 400K, think about it, what other expenses they have to pay. You have, you're making $400,000 a year as a single parent, that's really good, but you have to take care of your, most likely it could be a divorce, you have parents, you have family, you got housing, electricity, car bills, the list goes on. So that 400,000, that's gross, that's not net. That means you still haven't paid taxes. So if you live in like California, places that will charge a lot of tax, you just take whatever she makes, 400,000, chop that in half. Then you gotta pay all the rest of the other expenses. So that's not a lot of money. And how they make even more money is through investments. What I don't understand is when he chose the $400,000 deal, because it sounds, really great, but of course it pissed off a lot of people, obviously. Because 400,000, some people can't make ends meet because, they don't manage their money financially wise, or they have a lot of, situation called life happens. So he changed it to $1 million. Anyone with making over $1 million a year in gross income. But at the same time it sounds really great, but in reality, it's not that great. Because a lot of people speculate, oh my God, this might kill the economy. In reality, those people making that much money and they're going through investment. You gotta think of what's in their head. You gotta play the mind game. If they're making that much money, they know how the system works. You really think they're gonna sell? Because like I mentioned in a previous video, they have multiple options. And most people would rather take that bet and not sell, or if they really need the money to sell before this new plan implements, then they can get the money and, just cash out. And during that time, if he really wants to make money for a government, there's so many more ways, because political wise, it sounds great. Economic wise, it's a horrible idea. And I'm gonna break down the reason why. Because his goal was to take money from the rich, put it back in the economy. And at the same time, there are so many routes in the financial industry. It's not always one solution to every problem. It's multiple solutions. There's so many solutions to one problem. And there's a lot of problems on there, so there's many types of solutions. But he chose the most, the one that make him suits him, work him best. But, if you really want to tax and make money to pay for whatever, funding, plan things you want to do, there are many other ways. Instead of taxing the rich people, you can always go after big corporations, not the small ones, not the medium-sized ones, and not the small ones. Because those people are trying to make ends meet. They're trying to create a new business, so they're being competitive. If you attack them, then they'll be screwed. And if you attack the bigger corporations, of course, like I said before in my previous videos, money talks. But if you go after them, just take a slight percentage off larger corporations, and there you go. Then you have a good chunk of money. But if that doesn't work in the case, there's other routes. So instead of increasing the capital gains tax for anyone making over $1 million a year, because obviously, financially, that sounds really great, but would people fall for that trap? Because you're basically, what he is setting up a trap for that bracket right there, that income bracket, expecting people to sell during that time for investments. so the government can take a larger chunk off of them. But in reality, they don't have to. They have the option to say, hey, I'll hold on to another 4 years and maybe another president elected and change the rule back. They want to take that risk, or they might sell it early. So here's the deal. If he wants to make money for the government, increase funding, and increase revenue, like I said, as I mentioned many times before, instead of increasing the tax bracket, because America has one of the best competitive tax rates compared to all other first world countries. If you don't believe me, go look it up. Because you look at Canada, a lot of people say, let's move to Canada. Maybe Canada's better. No, Canada is actually way more expensive. Like, you think California's expensive? Look at Canada. Canada's way more expensive than California. So if you're already complaining, already, if you move over there in Canada, it's even worse. But here's the interesting part. If he increases the capital gains tax, but too bad, he's only gonna stay for 4 years term, because if he gets elected again, yeah, he can push on another 4 years. But if you really want to increase the capital gains tax and to make money, he can choose another option. Like I mentioned earlier, you can raise corporate tax for large companies only, like you're looking at, Apple, Google, major corporations, because they can take a hit. And if that doesn't work, you can always get into people's mind, because think about it, America is a consumer country. We're not really a producer. We consume a lot more than we produce. Like, think about America, no offense, we have the fattest population in the world. Not surprising, because, a lot of factors to it. But also, we consume a lot of food and goods. And financially, we do not spend really wisely. So if you put all those factors together, instead of increasing the tax rate and try to get money off of people, go around it. Like, I'll suggest him, instead of doing that, maybe lower taxes. For example, income taxes are super high, right? But that's like, state level. If you can lower the federal tax or lower the state tax, you can always make money from people buying things. The government always forgets, and other people forget, money circulates by people purchasing goods. Since we're a consumer nation, why don't you encourage people to buy more goods, consumer goods? Keep the prices low, keep the taxes low, even better, lower it. And when people have extra money, they don't know how to invest, because let's face it, majority of people don't know how to invest in America, sadly. That's why most people are broke. And at the same time, it's, it looks good for the government, because it gives an opportunity for them to buy whatever they want. You see something, oh, look at that. Hey, a shiny new car. Even I have like 5 other cars. Let's go buy it. And there you go. Sales tax money comes running in. They can always go that route, because they still have never tried that before. And instead of raising taxes for capital gains, if you want to do it that way, why don't you encourage more investment? Encourage people to invest more. If people do that, then you have more new companies shooting up or willing to start up. It's like, hey, if they're willing to pour money into whatever business they have, then they're a startup. More companies, more business, more jobs, right? Instead of increasing taxes. And of course, we're looking at his tax plan for increased capital gains tax. Well, the problem is, since our deals are so good and encourage us so much, once you raise that, you'll become competitive. Like, first of all, we have no competition when it comes to taxes in investments, because we have one of the best tax brackets in the first world country. If once he raises that, we're gonna have a problem. And that's actually for a video for another time. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on my channel. Peace.